folks, welcome to another Board Game Breakfast. I'm Tom Vassell, and we're here to talk about board games. First of all, I want to mention a couple things. The Dice Tower Cruise. Plenty of room left, but prices are going up constantly because we're trying to encourage people to sign up early. Do you want to go into one of the best conventions you've ever been on? Come play games with the guys from the Dice Tower on a cruise where we just basically eat, sightsee, and play games. Relaxing. Everybody that I know brings their families along with them, although you don't have to. Just an entertaining time. Check out Dice Tower Cruise for more info. If you have questions, email me and I'll point you to Jason, who's putting everything together. Dice Tower Award nominations are going to be announced live today here on the Dice Tower. That will be at noon Eastern Standard Time. And then I'll do a Q&A afterwards about pretty much whatever. But the Dice Tower Awards will be announced first. And our studio, as you can see, we have one of our two studios put together. This is the first one. This is the one that we're going to be doing reviews and things in. We're going to slowly be building the other ones up. So as you can see, there was not as much content from last week because we spent a lot of time putting everything together. Pretty exhausted, frankly. But we're happy to be here, hopefully home. And we'll hopefully be putting out some great content for you guys, or at least content that is feasible and you enjoy regardless of whether it's great or not. That's kind of a roundabout way. Hey, you know what? Let's get to the news. Okay, so let's take a look at the news. First of all, Everything Epic, who has done several games so far. We're kind of waiting for them to do a game where everyone's knocked out of the park about it. Secrets of the Lost Tomb and such. They certainly like theme though, and now they're doing Rambo the board game. In this game, they said it's going to be kind of a legacy style game where you'll have sealed envelopes and get more missions as you go through. And you can play as Rambo and the different people who accompany him, which makes me wonder if this will be like Conan, where the person playing Rambo has a ton of fun because he's Rambo and can obviously destroy an entire army by himself. And one of his partners who's kind of just there to provide Rambo someone to talk to as he kills everybody. We'll have to wait and see. Saikatsu, I'm sorry, I'm probably mispronouncing this one, from IDW, has been announced as a 30-minute tile-laying game about building your Zen garden. The cover here is an absolutely gorgeous cover, and so I hope this game is fun. AEG has announced Guildhall Fantasy The Gathering, continuing their tradition of being the company who names their expansions the most boring names possible. But this is a standalone game in the really great game of Guildhall. It has 6 new professions. It can be mixed with everything else and includes some mini expansions. I'm not sure why the word advance is on the cover there. Maybe they're harder characters to play, but Guildhall is a great game, so I'm looking forward to this. Upper Deck has announced a new expansion for Marvel Legendary. Also in other news, the sun rose this morning. Yes, of course, there's another expansion coming, but this is the biggest one so far. Really big, actually. 400 cards, 50 heroes. It has 6 masterminds in it. That is a ton of stuff. And of course, a lot of the heroes you know and love, like Legion and Beast, and so that's cool. More Legendary stuff is always fun for me. This is coming out in June, so maybe Origins? Steve Jackson has announced a Rick and Morty Munchkin, going off the insane popularity that cartoon is having at this point in time. Stronghold Games has announced an expansion for Cities of Spies, Double Agent. This will add a 5th player to the game, more characters and more mission cards, and of course a way to be a double agent. Stonemaier Games has announced Between Two Cities expansions, Capitals. This is going to have landscape mats. It's going to have the meeples that I guess they were like semi-exclusive before, but now you're able to get them. So this is interesting. I didn't think this game would actually have an expansion, but we'll have to wait and see. Another expansion that was announced is from Plaid Hat Games, Dead of Winter Warring Colonies. This one is an expansion for either of the Dead of Winter base games and includes a team variant. It can go up to 11 players where you now have 2 different colonies. And they say, lest you think 11 players will take too long, there will be a sand time or other ways simultaneous play to keep things moving. But count me in those who is still very skeptic about that. Dead of Winter is already a pretty involved, long game. You add more players, I don't care if people are playing simultaneously. Oh, maybe it will work. We'll see. But there's a ton of stuff that's coming out for this. I already feel like Dead of Winter has a ton of content as it is. But, well, we'll see. Ascension, in conjunction with Stormblade, who makes Ascension, in conjunction with Drive-Thru Cards, you can now build your own Ascension cards. Get your own face on an Ascension card. Yeah! 50 cents each with a 10-card minimum. PAX Unplugged. The tickets are on sale now for this convention, which we, Dice Tower, hope to be at this coming November in Philadelphia. So we'll have to wait and see. They're going to be announcing stuff, I'm sure, about this convention as time goes by. We have a new game from The Thing, Infection at Outpost 31. It certainly is a day where every single IP property is going to be made. So here is yet another one. Well, I'm sure people will like this one. Superlude is making a game called Chaiwai. It's a 3 to 6 player game from Bruno Fedduti about cats jumping into a lagoon and catching fish. It's pretty much all we know, but that cover is really pretty. I really like how it looks. I'm hoping the game is good. And Days of Wonder has announced a new expansion for 5 Tribes, Whims of the Sultan. This is going to add a 5th player, which sounds like it would make sense. A game 5 Tribes should have 5 players, right? And a bunch of other things. You can actually go and read the rules online. It seems like a larger expansion than the last couple, and this will be released at Gen Con. All right, that's the regular news. Let's get over to Suzanne.
Happy breakfast, everybody! Some of today's games will let you recreate the Battle of Rome versus Carthage, and then you can competitively distill some whiskey. Let's take a look at what's happening in our crowdfunding world today. Fantasy Defense is a solo or cooperative 2-player game in which you're defending the city's 7 gates from invading forces. In some ways, this is like a lane battling game with enemies lining up behind the gates and the players assigning troops from their hand to defend. Cards have spells and abilities that are critical for you to be able to manipulate the battles, but managing your forces is puzzly and challenging because no matter the battle outcome, you will lose at least one of your troops at each active gate. This adds tension to your troop assignments as you figure out how to place and use their abilities to minimize the damage and ensure you don't lose critical mass. Additionally, Fantasy Defenders will have secret chapters that are unlockable as you win battles, and these add new enemies, defenders, and other cards to the mix as you play. You can get a copy of Fantasy Defenders for a pledge of just €17, but for €24, you'll also get those extra chapters too. From famed designer Mark Simonich comes Hannibal and Hamilcar. These are card-driven strategy games, and there are actually 2 games included in this campaign. First up is an updated 20th anniversary version of the highly praised Hannibal, Rome vs. Carthage, and this edition streamlines the gameplay and updates it with brand new historically inspired art. Hannibal includes new scenarios and variants, some of which can be played in under 30 minutes. The campaign also includes the asymmetrical political game Hamilcar, about the First Punic War. This game includes naval forces and battles as you vie for control of the sea. The game includes a bunch of minis to represent your forces, and the campaign has already unlocked a lot of the stretch goals. You can get a copy of Hannibal and Hamilcar for a pledge of £65 plus shipping. In Feudalia, players are lords of different fiefs trying to gain the favor of the king by building the most impressive cathedral. This is a game that was actually self-published about 5 years ago, and it's back with updated art and cards and things like that. Feudalia combines deck building and resource management, as the vassal cards provide the resources and actions to gather the necessary wood, clay, wheat, and stone. As your deck builds, more characters will provide additional abilities and benefits. Feudalia includes 60 different characters that you can use to customize your deck, and they can actually change the win conditions of the game too. The game comes with 10 preset scenarios mixing and matching these characters, but you can always set your own scenarios up as well. A copy of the base game takes a pledge of €46 plus shipping. Clans of Caledonia is a bit of a heavier Euro-style game with worker placement, engine building, and economic elements. The game features 8 different asymmetric clans that you draft at the beginning of the game, setting each player on a different strategic course. You'll work to produce or buy and sell resources, and strategically build up settlements, as well as fulfilling contracts, expanding your area of control, and collecting rare goods over the 5 rounds of the game. The price of goods will shift up and down with demand, and the expansion piece is important, but also variable, because Clans of Caledonia has a modular board for the map. Clans of Caledonia features art by the fabulous Clemens Franz, and it's experimenting with a fascinating 110% money-back guarantee. You can get a copy of Clans of Caledonia for a pledge of €39 plus shipping, or for €59 plus shipping, you'll also get the Kickstarter exclusive metal coins and box sleeve. And Sailing to Osiris is a worker placement game designed by David Mackenzie of Alien Frontiers fame. In Sailing to Osiris, players are governors competing to pay the highest honor to the pharaoh's passing funeral barge. You'll use workers to gather critical resources like grain, brick, and stone, and scholars to plan the monuments that you'll be building. Obelisks, sphinxes, and pylons will score based on their proximity to the barge, but also their final board configuration. There are favors from the gods that you can use, and the city cards even allow for a wee bit of negotiation in the game. This is a worker placement game in which timing is absolutely paramount. The base game includes great custom wooden bits, and there's an optional deluxe expansion that includes governor and objective cards. You can get a copy of Sailing to Osiris for $49 plus shipping, and it takes $59 plus shipping for the deluxe edition. Okay, hopefully something caught your eye. I do also want to mention that the rebooted campaign for Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea from Gamelin Games has launched on Kickstarter. I've covered it in a previous episode, but I wanted to let you know so you can check the campaign page out now. Until next time, I hope you have a wonderful week.
Chaz Marler from Pair of Dice Paradise here, and I want to let you know that I, like so many others, have fallen in love with having things delivered to me in crate form. Whether it's Loot Crate, which regularly ships geeks and gamers crates of epic gear, or Nerd Block, which ships crates of epic gear to geeks and gamers regularly, or Doggy Lawn, which will deliver a 2x4 foot patch of real grass straight to your door so your pet can poop on it. And I am not the only member of the board gaming community who is currently caught up in the crowd of corrugated crate companies. Hasbro has recently announced that they will be launching a subscription game crate service of their own in the summer of 2017. According to Hasbro's Senior Vice President of Quotable Marketing Blurbs, Jonathan Berkowitz, quote, "We have seen the subscription trend and how strong it has become outside of our industry, and we thought, it's a perfect marriage for the gaming category." And it's Hasbro's keen observations into other industries that demonstrates exactly why their proposed service, which allows customers to blindly purchase a box full of unfamiliar games for a small recurring fee, is sure to be a phenomenal hit with the gaming masses. They have a talent for noticing popular trends and expertly absorbing them for profit. For example, the smash hit game Pie Face wasn't even a Hasbro property until they heard the buzz about people playing it in YouTube videos and then swooped in and acquired it for their catalog. And the Flip Challenge, allowing players at home to play a game based on a viral video of someone flipping a bottle of water onto a table. Yeah, finally. Now, some may worry that Hasbro's Game Crate may arrive packed with old, uninspired games that they just can't unload elsewhere. But those who are concerned about receiving boxes full of Hasbro's chaff, well, they need not worry. Because, according to an interview with Fortune, quote, "All of the games that will be shipped will be new. And if consumers really love one of the crate's offerings, the toy maker is open to considering broader distribution." That's right! Lucky Crate recipients will be receiving games not even available in retail yet. They'll get first crack at these new titles, almost like they're some sort of market research beta testers, except that they get to pay Hasbro for the privilege. But absolutely nothing like that scenario, of course. So keep an eye out for Hasbro's subscription gaming crate service launching this summer. I, for one, am nearly as excited about it as Mr. Berkowitz himself, who stated, quote, "If you focus on making a great game that connects people, you will win." Yes, I absolutely agree, and I look forward to the day that you decide to start winning, Hasbro.
Hi, welcome to Miniature World. Each and every week I get hundreds of letters of people asking, painting questions, or just sending me pictures and letting me know who they are. We take all those pictures and we put them on our wall of fame, which I'm very proud to display every time I make a video. Well, This month, we're going to take a look at all their work that they've been sending over the last month. I always like this segment, and it showcases all the hard work that everybody has been doing as they learn how to paint. So why don't we head right to it? There you have it. Another week done for Miniature World. Thanks so much for watching. By the way, Skylar, you made it. Until next time, I'm Rob Bourne. We'll see you soon.
So what's coming out from the Dice Tower this week? Well, didn't get as much reviews done last week. Actually, I didn't do any reviews last week other than Why I Love Summoner Wars. But I will try to fix that this week and talk about more reviews. And we're looking at Gekado, Mea Culpa, Biotix, Lorenzo Magnifico, Flatline. My goal is to have 15 reviews for you guys from me, and of course Sam and Z will be having things. We will be, there's other videos that are going up from our contributors and things throughout the course of the week. I'm getting close to finishing my Best of Publisher series, but there's a few more publishers that you'll see coming out. And of course, the Dice Tower, well, the Dice Tower Network. Dice Tower itself is not going to be putting out a show this week. The last two shows were supposed to be me, Rado, and Eric. I wasn't able to make those because of my mother passing away. So Rado stepped up to full co-host and helped Eric out there, and we appreciate that. But because of us moving and internet woes and things like that, wasn't able to record this week. But we will be recording this coming week, and it will be a show the following week. So more Dice Tower is on the way. We're also going to be at the Cool Mini or Not Expo, CMON Expo this week. So if you're there, we hope to see some of you. We'll be recording a few things there and putting those on our channel, of course, next week. All right, well, that's that. Let's keep going on.
Hey everyone, it's
Lunchtime! So today we're looking at a card game called Eggs and Empires. It is designed by Benjamin Pinchback and Matthew D. Riddle, published by Eagle Griffin Games, plays 2 to 6 players, ages 8 and up, in about 20 to 30 minutes.
So in Eggs and Empires, the goal is to collect the most points, which you get by these egg cards. Now some of them are red and are worth negative points. You want to avoid getting those if you can, but the blue ones are worth positive points. You have a deck of 10 character cards, and everyone has the same deck. However, only 9 character cards are played in a game, so one will be out of the game. You deal yourself a hand of 3 cards to start with, and then you can choose to play a card, and everyone chooses a card and plays it out. And then we reveal at the same time. Now, generally, the highest value card in a hand will take an egg card first, but there is some card text on some of the cards that can change those basic rules. And you keep going until everyone's played out 9 cards, and then you total up the egg card values to see who has the most points.
Some of those cards are tricky. Like, is it the number 9? I don't remember who the character is.
Oh, not the Dark Priestess.
And then, and if you both play that, it's like you're out. You get nothing.
Nothing. It's like the second highest card. The thing about this game is I kind of looked at it and I went, kind of hesitant, and oh my, I had so much fun. Every time I play this game, I have so much fun because the art really kind of has that whole like old 80s D&D feel.
Yeah, and it's dark, and I like it.
I like that some lower valued cards actually get to play before other cards,
Yes.
and some cards are worth points if they collect an egg card, but other cards are worth negative points if they collect an egg card. So you got to be really kind of thinking about what cards other people have played to know what they're likely to play next.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of interesting strategies involved.
My favorite move, just as an FYI, is when there's a whole bunch of red, like, negative cards. I'm like, oh, so glad I kept that 1 or 2, so I don't have to take an egg card.
Go, Bard, go.
So, just, you know, little strategy for you. So that's it. Great lunchtime game. Everyone we've showed this to really likes it. So that's it. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Hi, this is Gary Pope from Late to the Table. This is another What Should I Get segment where we go on the mega thread What Should I Get from the Board Game subreddit and we answer questions from it. Movie Super Freak is looking for a war game in which it's more about the political influence in the game rather than the military tactics of the game. And while I could suggest some games like Twilight Struggle, etc., he already owns a lot of those classics, so we got to think a little bit out of the box. Now, what I would suggest for this would be 13 days, followed by 13 minutes once that's released. I would also give the PAX premiere in those series a try, and also finish it off with Star Wars Rebellion. Zaz has Good Cop, Bad Cop, and is curious if the expansions are considered essential. So the expansions are Bombers and Traders and Undercover. I consider Bombers and Traders definitely an essential, while Undercover is hit or miss. It's good, but not that good. Liptolicious is looking for a game that's the next step after Betrayal House on a Hill. So because it looks like they're looking for that semi-co-op feel, I definitely would move on to Shadows over Camelot first, and then after that Dark Moon, and then following after that Dead of Winter. Alfredo094 is looking for basically the next expansion to get with their Cosmic Encounters game. If you simply need more stuff to play with more players, I would definitely go with Incursion next. So if you're perfectly fine with 5 players but just need more stuff to play with, then Dominion's definitely the next best one to get. Tesseract is looking for a game that plays from 4 to 7 players and is basically very competitive and along the lines of Scythe kind of, except not space themed. Now the hardest part about this is figuring out a game that actually isn't space themed. It's surprisingly hard. The games I'll try out for this would be Memoir 44 with the Operations Overlord expansion, also Game of Thrones the board game, and followed up with Spheres of Influence. All of those could work pretty well. But if all you're really looking for is a 4 to 7 player Euro game, then just go with Caverna, even though I would never play that with 7 players. And that was another episode of What Should I Get? Be sure to post your questions on the What Should I Get mega thread on the Board Game subreddit on reddit.com. And this is Gary Pope from Late to the Table, and I hope you're enjoying your breakfast.
Hello everyone, my name's Annette, and you may know me as Netters Plays. And today on Applied Mechanics, I'm going to introduce you to Yokohama. And Yokohama has a really interesting route building system. So let me show you how it's applied in the game and why I like it so much. So here's a setup for a 2-player game. You have the main board where players are going to interact and take actions. You also have your scoreboard and different management boards along with all your resources and your player board. So this is the main board where players will interact, they will score different amount of points, and gather different types of resources. Players will have very few options to place their assistants. Players can place 3 assistants on 3 different boards. If they place their assistants where another president is located, they have to give them a coin. Another option is to place 2 assistants on 1 player board. Once you place assistants on the board, then you can place a president wherever there's any assistants located. You count your influence and you do your action. When you're done, then you can take off your assistants. If your president's on one side of the play area and they want to get to the other side, they have to create some sort of route to get there by using assistants. So as you can see, Yokohama offers a really interesting system of laying assistants in order to build different routes from one location to another. Those assistants are giving you influences which will build up, and also other players will tend to get in your way. So you have to manage either going around them or through them by paying them a coin. Now there's a lot more to the game like resource management and set collection. However, I've really been enjoying the route building system in this game. Well, thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.
Alright, this may seem like it's the series that keeps restarting and going over and over and over again because we moved again. So now I'm starting in the top corner again. But what's on the shelves? Here we have Mage Wars, the core set. I actually have a lot of my Mage Wars stuff separated from here because I play Mage Wars Academy, and I have some of the books in other places, but there's still a ton of cards that's here. Ultimate Warriors, this competitor to King of Tokyo, which is about fighting and different monsters, or, you know, not always monsters, but different heroes and things fighting in an arena. Really great game. Dungeon Fighter, this is a game in which you throw dice at a target. And that's how you go through the dungeon. It's a dexterity dice chucking dungeon crawl. Seven Wonders, which is a really fun game. I thought it was okay, but once I added the expansions, especially the new Babel expansion, I also really like Cities, so that one's easy in my collection. Captain Sonar, of course, is just hilarious fun. Great game. I think it's best with its max of 8 people. But you know what? Over the years, I keep finding myself having 8 people to play with. Kingsburg, a very fun dice placement game. Still the king of that arena. Well, maybe except for Alien Frontiers. But it does a great job. I like it. Champions of Midgard. This game feels a little bit like Lords of Waterdeep, but has Vikings and dice drafting. And Panic on Wall Street is one of the few games that goes to 11 players. It is a real-time negotiation economic game that's silly, fun, can be raucous, just amusing game to me. So folks, this week, that's what's on the show.
Hey, this is Mike with the Board Game Makeover. In a previous episode, I showed you my Lost Cities the card game variant where I made my own cards. Well, this week, I'm going to show you how I made my own cards so that if you would like to make your own variant, you can do this. It's very easy, and let me show you what I did. The first thing you're going to want to do is open up a web browser and put in whatever category you want to look for pictures. I sped up this video to conserve time, and here I'm just looking for ships, and you right-click on the image you want, and you save it to a folder that you create for this project. You'll do this for all 5 categories that you're going to be creating cards for. In my examples here, I used airplanes and cars and ships to show you how to save the images. After you're done with the images, you're going to need to download GIMP if you don't already have it on your computer. GIMP is a wonderful free graphics editing program. Once you download it and install it, you're going to want to go back out and make sure that you download a set of numbers 2 to 10. Those are the numbers that we're going to have to put on each picture of each category. Go back to your folder, right-click on the picture you want to edit in GIMP, and click on Edit with GIMP. And it'll bring it right into GIMP for you. With these numbers, I need to pull out the number I need. To pull out the numbers, you want to use the selection tool to select the square number. Here I'm selecting the number 2, and then I'm going to copy it and then paste it as a new image. I then edit one of the pictures that I want to put the number on, and I paste it as a layer. You'll notice over here the layers, and you can move layers around, which is real important to paste it as a layer and not part of the image itself. You're going to want to scale the image to the size of the card that you're going to want to print. For my cards, I went with standard card size, which is 3.5 by 2.5 approximately. After I save it, I'm going to want to export it as a JPEG so I can print it in Microsoft Word. When you bring it in Word, paste the image in, and then if you right-click, you can see what the dimensions of your image are. Here they're a little too big, so I actually made them a little bit smaller so they'll print correctly. After you print out all of your images, you cut them out, you can put them in sleeves or however you want to play the game and add them to your box, and there you have it, your own variant of Lost Cities the card game. So Lost Cities is one of the easier board games to give a makeover to, especially if you want to change the theme to something that you like that's more interesting to you. I think I said this last week, but it is definitely one of the easier ones to do. And all the cards you make, very simple. You can decide on your own pictures, your own categories, your own sizes, cut them out, and you're done, and you have your own variant to Lost Cities the card game. Thanks for watching the Board Game Makeover. I'll see you next time.
Welcome to the thrift store where 2 brothers with $5 whole attempt to find the most interesting or strange board game from yesteryear and review it for you. This is Thrift Store Throwbacks.
Baby, baby, baby.
Why?
This is what we found. Justin Bieber's Backstage Pass.
So glad we started this segment, dude.
Yeah, this segment hasn't backfired at all yet. Let's see how it plays. So this is Justin Bieber's Backstage Pass. As you can see, it takes place in a theater, and you're going to be going along the theater seats trying to get to the front. On your turn, you're going to roll a die, and then you go for that many spaces. If you land on a space with a winky face, you pick up a You and Your Life card, which is just about you. So it says, roll and move ahead if you have painted toenails. If you do, you move ahead those 5 spaces. If you land on an empty space, you do a Justin and his music card, which is just Justin Bieber trivia, like, what is Justin's favorite color to wear? Purple. Purple's the answer. Now you know that. You can't not know that. So you're going to go through the whole theater until you get to seat A1. Once you're here, you're going to try and roll a 1, because that's Justin Bieber's birthday. If you do, like I did, you take a backstage pass and you get to go backstage. If you don't, you sit there until you roll a 1.
That's it. That's the game.
That's
the game right there.
This game is horrible. Because we counted from seat G15 all the way through to seat A1 is 105 seats. That means if you're rolling low, this game will take a week to play.
It's like something that you would be punished
by a Bondian villain. Like, you'd be forced to play this game to completion, and you'll go insane long before you ever get there. So when we finally got backstage and we got our backstage pass, you know what it is? It's just a Justin Bieber quote. Like, this quote is your reward for winning the game. Whenever I'm asked why I do what I do, I tell them it's all about trying to touch the hearts of my fans. I really hoped I touched yours. We can't talk about this anymore. You can check us out on all forms of social media. I just want to say that we're here to touch your hearts. Dice Tower fans, we hope we touched yours. Until then, we'll see you at the thrift store. See you there.
Now, we review a lot of games here on the Dice Tower, and we take a look at games from all sorts of companies, from the biggest company, Hasbro, to the smallest of small companies sometimes. And every once in a while, we'll review a game and inadvertently get ourselves mixed up in a controversy that really doesn't have anything to do with us, but has to do with that game. Now, this is often Kickstarter, but not always. But there are just companies out there who are not always doing the right thing. There are some companies out there that are straight out and out crooks. They are stealing people's money and not providing the games that they're supposed to be giving. There are people out there who are liars, who say that this is what's going to happen and it doesn't happen, or they're misleaders and they, make you think the game is going to have a box and it doesn't have a box or what have you. There's also people who, they're thieves. They might do things, or sometimes I call them accidental thieves, or people who get themselves in over their head, don't get things shipped out, they have bad communication, whatever it might be. And sometimes we review a game and some people say, why are you taking a look at this game? You should stand up. You should say that these people are doing the wrong thing. And we're like, oh, well, we did not know about that. So what people think we should have told us, is that we should be researching whenever we review a game, research into the company, find out if they are doing things that they should not be doing, and then tell people. And then, basically say, hey, here's a game, but backers haven't got it yet. That's a shame. Or maybe not even review these games. And so that's something we have to look at as a company. I'm always very cautious, first of all, because we might be wrong. Just because everyone says something's true doesn't mean it is true. And we have to be very careful not to spread disinformation and rumors. And you say, well, I definitely didn't get my game. Okay, that's fine. And there's always going to be people and things that go wrong. But there's always two sides to many different stories. And I want to be careful due to things I've done in the past where I jumped in on the side of different public debates. I want to be careful that we're not jumping in and saying things in error, which is, pretty close to slander. I don't want to slander other people. And I don't think the Dice Tower should be the place to spread gossip, especially in a review. A review is usually all about the game itself, the components, the graphic design, the art, the fun of the game itself, and not necessarily an indictment on the person who has made it. And because of that, I have to be careful. I don't want to fall into the slippery slope argument, but when do I not review a game? If I find out the designer of a game has a different worldview than I do, should I then say, well, this game I'm not going to review because this guy, he's a dirty whatever, or if that person has done something heinous, maybe committed a crime or what have you, is that a point where I cannot review the game anymore? Or maybe one guy who drew the artwork on one of the cards. We have to be very careful where we draw these lines. When we get into the zone, we want to look at the game itself, regardless of everything and everyone else around it. Now, that doesn't always work through. For the Dice Tower itself, there is at least one or two companies who I personally won't review their games because I think that the people who run these companies are pretty much crooks, and I don't really want to kind of give them extra benefit to that. However, some of these companies' games have been reviewed on the Dice Tower, and that's fine. That's just a personal thing that I have chosen, and no, I'm not going to be announcing who they are here. I don't think the Dice Tower is a place where we will indict other companies. There may come a day where we have to say this company is doing something that's wrong. And I've said a few things in the past where, hey, I think this is wrong, or they shouldn't be doing this. And there are companies that have been proven sometimes in court that they are broken the law. And these things need to be talked about sometimes, but I don't want to dwell on it. I want to dwell on the games themselves. So I know it's kind of just not fun at all when you see us reviewing or talking about a game and you are a backer of that Kickstarter and you haven't gotten it yet. That's right, but that's not our fault, or I don't think the onus of finding that is upon us. to go back and say, have all the backers got that? No, because we get the game, we're like, okay, here, we'll talk about the game. And we try to, pay attention to what's going on and be mindful of that. But don't turn your anger towards us, send it towards the publisher's way. But don't expect us either to be the forefront of a war against the publisher. We really just want to talk about games.
Expedition Northwest Passage is a tile-laying game where you play a member of an expedition and you are leaving from Greenland, traversing along ice and water to hopefully reach the Northwest Passage and then safely make your way back to Greenland. This is done with a really unique mechanism where you have a frozen and unfrozen marker that moves across the board. Items that are below this yellow line are unfrozen, meaning that your ship can go across the water. However, lines that are above this blue line are frozen. You cannot take your ship across those tiles. You have to use your sled. This is a really unique mechanism, and it makes for a very tense and exciting game. And for the solo version, you're really competing against time. You're not competing against another player, but that really, to me, doesn't take anything away from it. It still is a singular experience and one that I really enjoy.
Hello and welcome, my name is Nils Cyril's Brettspiele, and today in the best and the worst we are talking about London After Midnight. Yeah, let's see what I like on it and what's not. My favorite part on London After Midnight is this hidden identity / social deduction aspect of the game. It feels like, and everybody, when you put it on the table, would say, oh, another clone of Avalon. No, it's not. It's everybody for himself. So that is cool. It looks like Avalon and this team social deduction. Is he on my team or not? But it's really cool that everybody tried to fight for himself. There is no friend in this game at all. I really like that. That's a cool feeling, especially when expectations are different than the real game. In this part, it's good. On the other hand, what I don't like on it, I mean, it's obvious that when you are a monster, maybe why not playing hero card, and if you are a hero, why not trying to play a monster card if you have different cards on your hand and later on negate this symbols here. These symbols are victory points. So trying to trick your guys right from the get-go, if possible, if you have the right cards. That's a common strategy, and the strategy is really driven by the cards on your hand, and then it's very obvious. Thanks for joining me with London After Midnight. My name is Nils Cyril's Brettspiele, and this was my favorite part on London After Midnight. See you next week, here, right now.
Alright folks, for this week in What's Dice Baby anyway, we're taking a look at some stuff from Top Shelf Gamer. Actually, it's in conjunction with Stonemaier Games, and we're going to take a look at this over a couple weeks. So first we're going to take a look here at the deluxe animal tokens that are compatible with Caverna. Now these are big tokens. They have a nice feel to them. They look like they're made out of glass and stuff. I don't think they are. It's just hard plastic. But we have sheep. We have spotted cows. We have pigs. And we have dogs. And we have horses. And you can see also that there is plenty of other animals here involved. So the thing I wondered when I first saw these is how they would fit onto the squares here. So let's say you have a sheep in a spot, 2 sheep, but you can have up to 4 sheep, so 4 in there. Well, that works okay, having 4 sheep in that spot in the area. But they are a little bit bigger. If you look at the sheep that come with the game itself, it's either these or these, I can't remember. I have both. These are quite a bit bigger than the other sheep. The dogs, which can go anywhere, I actually really like the dogs. They stand up nice, and they're actually now easy to tell apart from the wood which comes in the game. Then we have the cows. The cows were already pretty big, so these cows are pretty much the same size, and I really like the cows. Okay, the cows are a nice, easy replacement. Not so keen on the pigs. Don't get me wrong, I like having pigs in a game, but the pigs in Caverna are black. It even shows that they're black here. So having a pink pig is fine. It's doable. But for people who are going to be looking at the symbols, it might take a while to remember that the pigs here now are pink. And even more problematic, there's horses. Now this says Caverna, but I'm pretty sure they made these horses for the Agricola expansion that has horses, because a horse and a donkey don't really look alike. I can say these are donkeys, but no one's ever going to believe it. There's not, I mean, there might be a brown donkey, but that is definitely a horse. And this is the donkey. So I don't know what I'm going to do with these. I don't know if I want to put them in the game or not, because the cows, great. The dogs, great. Love them. The sheep are pretty good, even if they're a little bigger than I would prefer. But the pigs and the horses are not really a good substitute for the donkeys and all. Now, if I was playing Caverna, those problems go away. The pigs and the horses will fit right in there, and horses only an expansion. So that's not a problem at all. So this is probably a better Agricola set than it is Caverna. But still, I do like me pretty bits.
On May 5th of 1945, the Canadian General Charles Foulkes and the German Commander-in-Chief Blaskowitz reached an agreement on the capitulation of German forces in the Netherlands. And since then, on May 5th, we celebrate the end of the occupation by Nazi Germany during World War II. Freedom, democracy and human rights are the pillars, and we celebrate in huge festivals throughout the country. This week I am playing a game that recreates that day that the liberation of Northern Europe started. This week I am playing D-Day Dice. D-Day Dice is a co-op game where each player is the leader of a military allied squad that tries to fight its way up the path to the bunker and try and destroy it. Every round the players roll their 6 dice and add stuff to their unit. And if you're lucky you can get some cool color bonuses. The map is tricky and there are some nifty problems you need to work around, like mines, barbed wire and machine guns. The game comes with a bunch of maps and they all represent different parts of the beach. The game comes with different expansions and my favorite is the one where one player takes on the role of the Germans. I really enjoy this game and maybe you will as well. So maybe you can check it out. It's called D-Day Dice. Thanks for watching. See you next week.
Greetings y'all. I said y'all, I'm alright with it. Today I want to talk to you about content consumption, which is different to regular consumption, which is just, you know, TB. Moving on. The main reason I watch board game related stuff has kind of shifted in the last couple of years, from information to entertainment. When I was first getting into the hobby, I watched a lot of lists, and it helped me make some really good decisions. And some terrible decisions, because I'm not good at making decisions. Also, I just don't like Small World, and I really wanted to. But now that I know what the heck people are actually talking about, like games and publishers and terminology, I kind of just watch for fun. I watch to relax. You know, I've got a question and answer on in the background while I'm working, or staring blankly into the middle distance trying to figure out what I'm trying to do with my life. Spoiler alert, I've got no idea what I'm doing with my life. Probably something with rockets. Maybe. But I also watch, and I'm sure you do too if you're watching Board Game Breakfast, because we're kind of in the in crowd to some kind of certain extent. You know, the in crowd, those people I hated at school. I'm watching because these people are into the same kind of thing that I'm into, which is loads of cardboard. Which isn't particularly profound, I suppose, but, you know, this is my niche. And I sometimes just want to seek some comfort in an echo chamber. So, why do you watch? Anyway, have a great day, and peace out, humans. Love ya.
And that's it, folks. Another Board Game Breakfast here and gone. Great contributions as always. Thank you to each and every person who puts good content out on this show. And I want to thank everyone for all the very, very nice emails and things they sent over the past couple weeks once again. All right. I'm tired, but there is no time to fool around. We have a lot of stuff to do. Hopefully you'll see some great stuff this week. Hopefully I'll meet some of you at the CMON Con in Atlanta on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Can't be there Sunday, guys. Mother's Day, got to come home for that. But speaking of that, for all mothers out there, happy Mother's Day. I hope you know that we think about you and we all appreciate you.
Thanks for watching Board Game Breakfast. Tune in each week for your daily dose of gaming goodness with Tom Vassell and all the gang. Until next time, I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching Board Game Breakfast, a Dice Tower production, sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., an amazing place to buy board games. Cool stuff in stock at CoolStuffInc.com.